B, consideration of commission meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2024. C, consideration of administrative adjustments to real property. D, consideration of administrative adjustments to personal property. E, consideration of the final plat map for the applicant Nielsen. F, consideration of the final plat map for the application of Co-op Heights. G, acknowledgement of adoption of ordinance number 2024-1253-L, 2024-1255-L, published on Sunday, April 7th, 2024. That's my right.
I will second that motion. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Our next item is another one of our state and county videos. Commissioner Snow.
I have said this 6 times now, so the videos are just a portion of our version of a state and county. We decided to use videos to be able to better show the things that we've been working on and report back to citizens in 2023, as well as so return to report as before, and this one is regarding the crisis stabilization center.
One of the major accomplishments of 2023 was the completion of the Crisis Stabilization Center. A couple of years back, we first heard of the opportunity to provide extra services for law enforcement and affected citizens. We toured throughout Utah the other stabilization centers that existed. We realized that this would be a great boon to law enforcement in Washington County. Our sheriffs, in combination with police officials all throughout the county, felt like this would be an important asset that they could take advantage of.
For a basic understanding of how the Crisis Stabilization Center works, let's say a St. George police officer pulls over someone who is in need or sees them on the street. It could be a case of drug abuse or mental stress. The Crisis Stabilization Center is an option where the police can take this individual. Prior to this, it was either a choice of the hospital or jail. But in reality, this crisis moment could be handled by our good partners at Southwest Behavioral Health and their experts in the field to give this person a chance to recover. And of course, crises are often affecting homes as well and other individuals. They have a comfort level now to know that with professional care, their individual, their family friend, their loved one can be temporarily, if not more permanently, on a path of recovery. What a great opportunity. We'll explain more about how it actually works, but that is the intent of the Crisis Stabilization Center.
The Crisis Stabilization Center really is revolutionizing the crisis of mental health in Southern Utah. It is a wonderful resource. And for that, as a dedication in August, we had the governor, many of his staff, some of the state legislators who helped make this possible, as well as every single law enforcement agency in Washington County. They all came because they recognize what kind of a resource it is for them. And it's really for the citizens. As Commissioner Alvarez explained, when you're in the middle of a crisis, we're no longer left with two choices. That we have a place to take friends and family members who need that help in the very moment when they're having that crisis. We appreciate the partnership with the state and legislators and all getting this funding for us. This is only the second one in Utah. And so we appreciate their partnership. The county donated the land, the time, the project management done by the county administrator, Nicole Felshaw. And that was no small expense, but it was a resource that was desperately needed in Washington County.
Upon the completion of the Crisis Stabilization Center, it's the hope of the county commission and everyone involved that this will be a place of refuge, a place that will give hope to families that are in crisis and individuals that are dealing with mental health issues as well as addiction issues. We hope also that this will be a great resource for our local law enforcement agencies. They're often the individual and the person that is first called to interact with people that find themselves in a crisis. Well, the crisis of mental health is also a crisis of addiction. And has already been mentioned by my other county commissioners. This crisis stabilization will provide a valuable resource towards helping individuals find hope and transition into recovery. That's really the real celebration here with the completion of the Crisis Stabilization Center. is that it will be a place of hope.
I need to express the importance of the Crisis Stabilization Center more than just Washington County. Southwest Behavioral Health covers 5 counties. In reality, this is a statewide need. As the state recognized its need, and especially as we asked for help in this area, they funded the project. And of course, we have many people to thank for it. We'd like to recognize and thank President Adams of the Senate, House Speaker Wilson, Representative Stephen Elison, Brad Raps, and Governor Cobb. We also want to thank those who made it possible, even though the state funded it was built in Washington County on land that we donated with Watts Construction building the structure. MRW Design also helped in, of course, the architecture. And we are grateful to those who have participated in so many ways in making this reality.
We'd also like to thank Intermountain Health, who is the only private donor to the Crisis Stabilization Center. With their funds, we built a tranquility garden outside, so the people that are in that moment of crisis can get the help that they need. They can spend a little time in our beautiful outdoors here in Washington County and breathe a little of that basic air to help get into their lungs and clear their heads and help move past the crisis that they begin the process of doing. The Crisis Stabilization Center is open, it's functional, it's already being used by numerous people, and we are happy that it's a resource for those who need it in Washington County.
Oh, very good.
I was about to say this one.
Hey, watch myself on it.
So much fun to watch yourself in front of everybody.
I'm sure we enjoy it more. So, okay, our next item is item number 2, which is consideration of proclamation number 2024-33, proclamation declaring April 19th, 2024 as Patriot Day. And we have some great, handsome-looking, lovely ladies and handsome men from the Sons of American Revolution, Daughters of American Revolution. And Mark, or you and Steve, both, Mark Woodbury and Steve Sorensen are going to come and talk about this proclamation.
First of all, Commissioners, thank you for inviting us to participate in this session today. My name is Steve Sorensen, and I am the Vice President of the Sons of the American Revolution here in the Breakfast Zion Chapel. And supporting me are a couple of the other gentlemen in that group. We also have support here today from the Daughters of the American Revolution and the Children of the American Revolution. We also have a very, very special guest here with us, and that is someone from the Student Council of the, excuse me, Panorama Elementary School, the Patriots. And so we have a real patriot kind of person that we really spend our time trying to that's what our mission is to try to help educate and bring along these young patriots. So, Taylor, would you like to say anything? We have put together and have presented to you a proclamation, and this is a slightly different proclamation than that which was signed by the Lieutenant Governor last week, but it is the same.
And so I will read the proclamation, and we'll try to make this go as quickly as we can. April 19th, Patriots Day. Whereas Washington County wishes to recognize the start of the American Revolution and honor this date as Patriots Day. On the evening of April 18th, 1775, Dr. Joseph Warren called to his house in Boston both William Dawes and Paul Revere and instructed them that the British soldiers would be leaving Boston by sea to apprehend Patriot leaders Sam Adams and John Hancock in Lexington and confiscate the stored arms in Concord. Whereas the local militia volunteers, distinguished by the term Minutemen, have been notified through the night of the approaching British soldiers, stood their ground on Lexington Green as the King's soldiers approached. Whereas in the early dawn of April 19, 1775, on the Lexington Green, a shot was fired that signaled the start of the American Revolution and came to be known as the shot heard round the world. Whereas 8 militia volunteers were shot and killed on the Lexington Green on the morning of April 19, 1775, representing the 8 years of war that would ensue between the American colonists and the British Empire. Whereas the British leaders continued their march on to Concord, but at the Old North Bridge, the farmers and fathers who had been summoned through the night turned back the greatest military on earth at that time. The British troops retreated back to Boston under a constant stream of fire from the American volunteers. From April 19, 1775, on Concord Green and Concord North Bridge, millions of Americans have fought for our freedom and should be recognized as patriots. Therefore, be it resolved that we do proclaim that April 19th shall be honored and recognized as Patriots' Day in Washington County, state of Utah. It's our pleasure to provide you with that proclamation. I realize that we'll pick up the same copy later, but
fantastic. And before we take action, the official one that we have before us has 2024, but we would like to strike that and just leave April 19th as Patriots' Day, so it lives on. We're going to have a great celebration in this county in 2026 as America celebrates its 250th anniversary. I know that Christy Pike is a part of the state organization. We were discussing prior to this meeting how we plan to start organizing here at the county to have our own celebration in conjunction with everything else we're doing as a nation. We had an opportunity to be at what's called America's Village, and they had some young people there, and they were reenacting Paul Revere's Last Ride, and they were explaining it to these 7-year-olds and having some of them be the British soldiers and the others be the militiamen. And it really did make me think a lot about what must have been going through all of their minds when they stood their ground there. It's something that, may we live worthy of that sacrifice that they gave. So with that, I'd like to make a motion, Commissioner Snow, with your permission, that we adopt this proclamation declaring April 19th as Patriots' Day here in Washington County, and that's my motion.
Wholeheartedly second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Fantastic. With that, we'd like to come down and take a photo if that's okay.
huzzah! Huzzah!
Patriots in the middle here.
You guys are important.
Squish in, everybody.
Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looks so handsome. Remind me your name again?
Taylor.
Taylor.
Thank you.
Nice
Appreciate
to
it
meet you, Taylor.
very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll see you later.
Yeah, we'll see you in a second. Let's see, our next item of business is our emergency service report from Sergeant Cashin. Oh, I skipped Susie.
Afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon, Sergeant.
Okay, for April report, we had 9 additional search and rescues, 297 man-hours on those rescues, brings us to 28 for the year. So we're starting to ramp a little bit. Just so you know, we had 5 more call-outs that we canceled prior to them getting there. So we don't count those normally. We had 4 in-county residents, 1 out-of-county, 2 out-of-state, and 3 international rescues. They were all from Canada.
Yeah.
Clearly.
All right, so on the 20th of last month, we had 2 lost hikers up on Red Mountain. They weren't hurt or injured, but they are way off trail, so we ended up having to go up and get them. The 23rd, we had a motorcycle accident out in Warner Valley. That gentleman had some significant but not life-threatening injuries. Got him back to the ambulance and out. On the 24th, we had a UTV accident on Sand Mountain. That was up by Top of the World. We ended up getting up there and got the gentleman down to medical, but then he declined any treatment. On the 25th, we had an injured hiker at Red Cliffs recreational area, and it was a 59-year-old female that had broken her ankle. Fairly simple rescue. Took a little time, but just so you know, some of the maps that we show roads, they don't exist anymore. We were looking at a road saying this is the best way in, and it wasn't.
Just overgrown, the road's been reclaimed by
Just
God and nature.
overgrown, washed out. And that's what I tell people all the time. Don't just believe what you see on the map, because it may not be a usable road.
That's true.
On the 27th, we had an injured mountain biker on Bear Claw Poppy. It was a 49-year-old female who crashed her bike. She didn't stay put. She moved around a little bit. We finally found her back at the trailhead. So we did a lot of running around looking for her. On the 31st, we had an injured hiker at Three Falls Trail. It was an elderly gentleman that had fallen and apparently smacked his head. He kept on refusing any help, but they just stayed with him and helped him get down, and then he got in his car and left. The 3rd, we had an injured mountain biker on Bear Claw Poppy. It was a 48-year-old male. He did have a broken clavicle. That was pretty obvious from us dealing with him. We got him in actually one of the nicer razors, because they're really smooth, and we actually drove him out that way back to the ambulance. On the 4th, we had a ledged out climber on Cougar Cliffs. That female had apparently been there since the afternoon prior to the call. So High Angle went out, they actually got to her, got her down, and then we used a razor to bring her out the bottom versus trying to raise her up that cliff. And on the 6th, we had another injured mountain biker at Stookie Springs, 44-year-old female, so she was way out to that west side of Bear Claw. Got to her, got her stabilized, and brought her out, and she was transported. That's what I've got.
I think it's good for the public to see this. I'm just going through the times: 8:56 p.m., 5:15 p.m., 12:30 p.m., 1:15, 3:30, 2:45, 2:15. This is in the middle of the workday when people are at jobs and have work. I mean, we say it to you, you already know, but somebody had to leave work, somebody's employer had to allow them to leave work, somebody's family missed them for a while, they missed dinner. I mean, this is all volunteer time. I don't think anybody can ever overstate the sacrifice that these men and women make to help the people in the community, or international for that matter.
Yep, absolutely. We don't ask where they're from until we're done. But I mean, we don't ask where they're from, we just go get them. So,
Great, wonderful people. As always, give them our thanks.
you betcha.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Appreciate you, Sergeant Cashin. With that, our next item is a consideration of a proclamation 2024-34, a proclamation supporting and honoring the post-Vietnam era American military veterans. In celebration with our Washington County Fair here in another hour, myself and Commissioner Snow and others will be celebrating our great veterans of our county and of our nation. And Commissioner Snow, would you mind going over this proclamation for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, so I'm going to read
Yes, please.
the whole thing here. A proclamation supporting and honoring the post-Vietnam era American military veterans. Whereas since 2020, Washington County, during the Washington County Fair, has honored military veterans by spotlighting veterans that have served in various eras and capacities. And Washington County desires to express its gratitude, support, and to honor those military veterans who have served in the post-Vietnam era and up through the modern day. And since the mid-1970s, the United States has been involved in many military conflicts since the cessation of hostilities in Vietnam. And it has been more than 50 years since our last military draft, which means for over 5 decades, our military branches have been filled by a complete voluntary force. The United States has the greatest fighting force in the world because year after year, citizens volunteer to serve and make sacrifices to ensure our freedom remains intact. As a country and members of this as a county and members of this great country, we honor the selfless men and women who have served in the military in the post-Vietnam era. Washington County and its citizens have recognized the bravery, dedication, and resilience required when serving in the armed forces, and we further recognize that through military service, our veterans develop skills and traits that improve value to our communities long after they have been discharged. And their contributions to our communities following their service is critical and necessary for our society. Whereas Washington County recognizes the importance and often demanding burden that rests on the shoulders of military personnel, and we gratefully and respectfully honor you and thank you for your service. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the County Commission of Washington County that Washington County, Utah proclaims its support for and honors those military men and women who have served in the post-Vietnam era.
And I'll second that motion. Today, we're going to be having this celebration at the county fair, and as you were reading that motion, Commissioner Snow, it really struck me that for over 50 years, we have not had the draft in place. People have been serving, volunteering, which America has always done.
Yep.
Great men and women. And so with that, all those in favor of proclamation 2024-34, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is item 5, consideration of purchase request. Ray Boyer, it's good to see you.
Hi. Okay. The first one we have here is for emergency services. This is it's referred to as a Dynasafe, but what it is, it's a total containment vessel used to transport hazardous devices to a safe disposal area. And what's included in that is a steel frame for the pallet jack, the trailer to transport, and then the training needed to facilitate this. And the total of this is $116,961, and this is grant funded through the Bomb Squad Task Force grant. The next one is also for emergency services. This is for night vision binoculars for $186,356. This is for 16 pairs, and this is also grant funded and is a regional asset and will be dispersed as needed. The next one is for our roads department. This is the usual equipment fuel bill that we get every few months. This is for a total of $28,889.80. And the next one was for roads as well, but we're gonna pull this one. It was noticed there was a resolution done later in the agenda that will cover the same thing this is, so there's no need to duplicate that. The next one is for tourism. This is for golf social media influencer campaign for $70,000. Next one is also for tourism. This is for a golf documentary video production for $60,000. And the Next one is for the Dixie Center. This is for the Dixie Center interior design consultation and design coordination. This will cover carpet, kiosk, painting, lighting, etc. For $29,400. And the final one is for the fair. This is for tents for the food court, concerts, and the VIP tent. This also includes a mobile 3-room bathroom trailer and delivery for $11,516.18.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the purchase request as presented by Ray.
We have a motion and a second, or I second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray. Our next item of business is consideration of ordinance number 2024-1256-0, an ordinance repealing and replacing Washington County Code Title I, Chapter 14, Section 2, subsection KK and TT only, in order to define and designate the boundaries of specific election precincts in Washington County, state of Utah. Melanie.
Hi there. All right, so the reason this is before you today is we have in Washington County, we have what's called multi-unit housing areas, where you have the same address for a whole housing community, but each individual lot has an individual unit number. And the way this works through our voter database is if we have a multi-unit housing area, you can only have one latitude and one longitude. So basically, this is where all of these voters belong, and that's what designates them into a voting precinct. Now, in 2022, when we had redistricting, we missed a small portion of a multi-unit housing complex. And this is just off of Indian Hills Drive. So 1165 West Indian Hills Drive in the existing maps is split into 2 voting precincts. Now, however, that doesn't mean the voters are in 2 specific precincts. It means that multi-unit is split between those 2. So this affects St. George Precinct number 37 and St. George Precinct number 46. Now, there are no voters affected in any way, shape, or form. This is just adjusting the map and the descriptions to actually reflect that multi-unit housing.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2024-1256-0, repealing and replacing Washington County Code Title I, Chapter 14, Section 2, subsections KK and TT only, in order to define and designate the boundaries of specified election precincts in Washington County.
And I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Our next item is consideration of ordinance number 2024-1257-0, an ordinance vacating a portion of the Shooting Sports Park Road in Washington County.
We have Todd here as well, if there's any questions, but I can cover this for you. We have a roadway out in the Hurricane area. We're vacating a 10-foot portion of that roadway that's been dedicated to the county. The roadway width that was dedicated was 60 feet, and our typical roadway cross-section is 50 feet. That's also the area where the EOC building is going to be constructed, and so all of our building plans and our lot preparations were kind of designed with a 50-foot roadway, so we're trying to bring it back to what we had planned for. So.
Well, very good. I noticed that we have our esteemed city manager from Hurricane here. This is in Hurricane, and we'd already dedicated the road in front of the fairgrounds, and this is a road that had before just been kind of that elbow up there, right? So
yeah, you can kind of see it on the screen there.
Yeah. Very good. Well,
Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 2024-1257-0, vacating a portion of the Shooting Sports Park Road in Washington County.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you, Reed.
very much.
Thank you.
It'll continue to be a road, just not
Yeah,
officially
Not quite as big.
dedicated, not quite as big, so, very good. Well, our next item is item 8, consideration of ordinance number 2024-1258, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County near Central from A20 agricultural 20-acre minimum lot size to RA10 residential agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size and A10 agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size hereafter fully described in this ordinance. Reed?
Yes.
Take it you're filling in for Scott today.
Yes, sir. This is a parcel up in Central. The LDS Church had purchased 10 acres up there in the upper corner. And so along with this zone change, there's also a preliminary plat that's being processed at the same time to create 2 lots. And then this procedure that's before you now is to create 1 lot for the church, which will be RA10, and then the remaining lot will be zoned A10. So they'll both be zoning compliant.
Okay, very good. Is this where the chapel is planned?
Yes. The chapel is a conditional use in the RA10 zone,
Okay.
so they'll be applying for a conditional use to build a church.
Oh, very good.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 2024-1258-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County near Central from A20, which is an agricultural 20-acre minimum lot size, to RA10, which is a residential agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size, and A10 agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size, as described in the ordinance.
And I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Our next item is item 9, consideration of ordinance number 2024-1259-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located at approximately 550 North, 700 East in Pine Valley from A20 zone, agricultural 20-acre minimum lot size, to the RA 2.5 zone, residential agricultural 2.5 acre minimum lot size hereafter fully described in the ordinance. And I have Pamela Coates there, so
Yeah, Pamela Coates is the property owner. This parcel was created back in the 80s when Pine Valley Road was dedicated. And it split the parcel with 6074, which is just right across the road. And so we've had this remnant that's been existing. We talked about leaving it as existing non-conforming in the A20 zone, but since the applicant was willing to go through the zone change procedure, we thought that would clean it up, and making it RA 2.5 brings it into compliance with that zone, and there's also RA zoning adjacent to that area, so we felt like it was in harmony with the area.
harmony with that. It is an odd lot size or shape,
Yeah, it is.
so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance 2024-1259-0, rezoning a certain portion of Washington County located at approximately 550 North, 700 East in Pine Valley from A20 zone to the RA 2.5 zone, hereinafter fully described in the ordinance.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. I'd like to thank you, Commissioner, for reading the full title of those items. Thank you, Reed. Appreciate
My
it.
duty today.
So our next item is consideration of resolution R-2024-3290, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Utah, authorizing the defeasance of outstanding lease revenue bond series 2017, the bonds of the Municipal Building Authority of Washington County, Utah, the issuer, from legally available monies of the Dixie Technical College as sublease of the project financed with said bonds, approving the execution of and escrow agreement and related matters. We have some of the longest titles today. It's just like, I should just say, we're going to consider item 10. But since we like to read the titles, it lets everybody know what we're going to debate. So I have Mark Anderson here from Zions National Bank to talk to us about this.
Yes,
So-
thank you. It's a pleasure to be back before you, Commissioners. Sam Draper from Dixie Tech reached out to us. I believe the college had received a state appropriation to pay these bonds off early that were the building that was built up on the plateau, I believe, the old airport. This starts the process to where they can escrow funds to make the remaining payments until the bonds are callable, and then there'll be adequate funds to defease the bonds. This is a good thing because it takes these bonds off your financial statements as well.
Yeah.
So our intention is to purchase the state and local government securities, that they call them slugs. On May 1st, they're going to be yield restricted because you can only earn so much money on these investments because of what the rate is on the loan. And then on June 18th, they would be paid off, considered paid off as the monies are escrowed to make the remaining payments.
So just for the public, anybody that might be watching or interested in this, so a few years ago when Dixie Tech went up on the hill they were technically using the hangar, the land had been purchased prior to that, but they received appropriation from the state, but they were short on this building. And so the county came together with them and actually used our credit to get the bonds, and then they were using the revenue from the maintenance of their old building that they received from the state to pay the bonds. But Mark, I've always appreciated kind of walking up in that building and thinking, because it is a beautiful building, and thinking, well, if they ever quit paying their mortgage, the county can just kind of take over and we can find some nice office space for Todd and Public Works up there or something. So, with this action, we're basically backing ourselves out of this transaction. And I always took pride in the fact that we were holding their mortgage up there, so, or not really, but kind of. And but I do think it does show kind of how we do things in Washington County. Sometimes we have to step in and help each other, and so it turned out to be a beautiful campus up there, and it's proven to be the right decision what they did. So I don't know if I want to vote for this or not.
If we don't, then we get to hold the mortgage
What
forever.
happened? Mark, maybe walk us through this. Because if I remember, as a commissioner, I spent a lot of time on the phone with bond counsel going over this. I mean, I can spend, so what do we get back?
Were you ever compensated for that time?
Yeah, am I going to be compensated extra for, all the time?
This won't show as an obligation on the county's financial statements any longer.
Oh, so there is some benefit to the county, so yeah. I mean, I do have to take my hat off to you because you deal with bond attorneys all the time. You have to admit, they're not really exciting. Would you say that on the public record or no?
Not coming from an accountant.
No, it was fine. It was actually a really good process, and you did great. You guided us through. I think John Bronson was still here as well.
Correct,
so.
yes.
Well, very good. I don't expect you,
Yeah,
Commissioner, to read
Mr.
the
Chairman,
entire
I
thing.
move that we approve resolution number R 2024-3290.
And I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We now have less debt on our books, right, Mark? Very good. Our next item is consideration of resolution R-2024-3291, a resolution approving an agreement with a forensic interviewer for service at the county's Satellite Children's Justice Center in Kane County. Christy, hi.
Hello.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. When we took on Kane County as a satellite of the Washington County Children's Justice Center, one of the commitments that we made with their county attorney, Rod Van Dyke, was that we would work toward having a forensic interviewer doing the interviews in Kane County. We have had that model here in Washington County since, I believe, 2016. We were one of the early counties to adopt that model. The rest of the state is moving that direction. Kane is anxious to do so. We've found someone who is willing to do that on a contract basis rather than employee basis, which makes total sense because they just don't do enough interviews there to warrant a full-time interviewer or even a part-time interviewer. So Billy Lamb has agreed to do that for us on a contract basis, and the funding for that comes from the state and through the Washington County Children's Justice Center, and we'll just make sure that she gets paid.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Christy, for everything you do
Of course.
in this area and also helping our neighbors in King County. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3291, a resolution approving an agreement with a forensic interviewer for the services at the county Satellite Children's Justice Center in Kane County. And
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
Our next item is consideration of Resolution R-2024-3292, a resolution approving a professional service agreement with Mainline Engineering LLC to provide services for design, environmental services, and plans for the Sheeps Bridge Road right-of-way project. Todd.
We're excited to get this started now. We've been looking forward to paving Sheep Bridge Road for quite some time, so this is our first step to get that process going with the environmental work and initial design on that. So Mainline Engineering gave us a great proposal, and we feel like we've worked with them before, and we're very confident in their expertise. So we'd recommend we approve their contract for $163,139.
And Todd, remind me, are they doing the alignment as it currently exists? What are we doing when we get over to 57?
We're, as part of their contract over onto 59 over there in Hurricane, hard to remember all these numbers. They're going to look at realigning that intersection. Right now it's an offset intersection, so we're looking at either aligning it into a cross intersection or the two T intersections that be further separated apart. And also looking at a realignment through the middle where we've got a problematic area with the wash, and then wherever else comes up environmentally if we
Will it come back in options? Like,
yes.
In other words, this is one option, this is another option.
Yeah, the environmental process will look at.
Because in some ways, the BLM's already said, if you stay within the footprint, we don't see a problem. But if we start moving outside the footprint,
the part that's outside the footprint that we may change is actually on private ground, except over on Highway 59 it would be. And that's one reason why we would look to maybe realign the other road on the other side, because it would be on private rather than BLM ground, so maybe an easier transition. We did get funding to pave the road, so we're excited about that. That funding will be available later this year, and so we're hoping to get a jump start on the project with this contract.
well, it is good to see us moving forward on Sheeps Bridge Road. Government moves slowly, but we do move.
We
So
do move, yeah.
it is good.
And thanks to Congresswoman Malloy for the help with the funding, because not all of it, but it covers a big chunk of that road, so.
Yes, and that'll be a big chunk. We'll be working with UDOT actually on that as a project manager to utilize those federal funds.
Yeah, it'll be good to have it. There's obviously a lot of use, but also there's a lot of need to connect SR9 and SR59.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes that you have accidents on both switchbacks as you go down into Hurricane or go down into the Burke, and it gets closed off.
Right.
And there's not other routes, and so this will provide a route.
Yeah,
there,
it
so.
eliminates a lot of dust, eliminates a lot of problems when it's wet.
Yep.
It's not a great road. There's a big wash in the middle, a couple of big washes that are impassable when it's flooding.
Well, good deal.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R-2024-3292.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Our next item is consideration of Resolution R-2024-3293, a resolution approving an easement agreement between the School Institutional Trust Lands Administration, SITLA, and Washington County, the flood control infrastructure in the Dameron and Diamond Valley area.
This part of a project's been going on for years now. The NRCS is helping us to do some flood control work that is in Diamond Valley, Dameron Valley, and then also on the Shivwitz Reservation. This is Sitla land that we need easements from, and they've been great partners to offer that to us for basically a perpetual lease for just the application fee. It will also help protect some of their ground, so it will help in that way too. But this will allow us to build detention basins and put in some erosion control structures.
Yeah, it's needed, especially in Dameron Valley. I don't know if Diamond Valley ever gets floods.
Never. No, things are perfect in Diamond Valley.
Dameron Valley is somewhat a bowl, so thank you so much for your work, Todd, and I'd like to make a motion, Commissioner, that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3293.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
So Todd,
Todd.
if you can come back up on the microphone there, for the inevitable calls that we'll get, so what, I mean, you talk about the easements here, but what is you said detention basins, where are they going?
The 3 detention basins that are new are up above Dameron Valley in the washes that are upstream of Dameron Valley, and so we plan to slow the water down so that we can allow it to come through controlled. There's also some detention basins in Diamond Valley, some existing detention basins. We're rebuilding those. And then in Diamond Valley, there's a large wash that runs right through the middle of Diamond Valley. We're providing some erosion control, and one of these easements is for riprap along that wash.
So you'll rip-wrap the wash that goes through the center of the town there?
Part of the wash.
Parts
yes.
of the wash?
Yeah. Part of the area where there's homes and it's had erosion problems. Yes.
And Todd, also, are we still pursuing detention basins on the BLM as well?
Yes,
Dameron
this is only for a part of the dam. Yeah. Actually, 90% or greater is actually on BLM property. Yep. We'll need to go through the rest of the NEPA process before we apply for a BLM right-of-ways there.
In Diamond Valley, there's an old detention basin that has long since been silted in, long enough that trees have grown into the middle of it and everything. But
Right.
you can see the old dike that eventually broke, again, long ago. It's a wonderful place to play paintball. Is that one of the ones that you're talking about, or is this a new?
Yeah, there's actually 3 detention basins in Diamond Valley. The big one right in the middle of the valley that's been there forever. There's one upstream that functions well, but it has no outlet, so it stores water behind it. That can weaken and cause problems. And then the third one that you're probably talking about has been silted in on that upper end, and we plan to rebuild that and run it back into that upper stream detention basin.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Todd. We are now on to item 14, which is consideration of Resolution R-2024-3294, resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Rockwell Solutions, Inc. for soil testing at the County Road Department facility. Todd, you speaking to this as well, I believe?
Yeah, I believe so. This one, we had a small fuel leak out there, and this agreement is with a testing company that can come in and see the extent and see how far that fuel has gone into the soil. We're hoping it hasn't gone very far. It was a very big leak, and so we're hoping this is just precautionary, but they'll come in, they'll drill some holes, do some digging, and find out how far that soil has been contaminated.
Will they also remove any?
This one is not for removal, but this one is just to
to
find
make
out
sure.
the extent of it.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to know how we can best remove it.
We don't anticipate it's.
We don't think so.
No.
It hasn't been a long-term leak. It was above ground. It wasn't like a leaking below-ground tank that we just don't know how long it's been leaking. This was an area up above ground that leaked for a short time.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution R-2024-3294, approving an agreement between Washington County and Rockwell Solutions, Inc. for soil testing at the County Road Department facility.
And I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is consideration of Resolution R-2024-3295, a resolution approving the expenditure of TRT funding for an event marketing agreement for the Trails Heroes event. And Chad, it's good to see you again.
Yep. The Tourism Tax Advisory Board recently voted last month to approve funding for a marketing agreement with Monster Energy Trail Hero event that is held at the end of September out at Sand Hollow State Park. This event in last year had a little over 6,000 registered participants for a 6-day event that had an economic impact between $14 and $17 million to the county for that event. This year, we are coming to a marketing agreement to help spread our stewardship message of the land and to the off-road community. We feel that this is one of the best vessels that we can use is through a year-long effort with this group and through their event for the amount of people that they have. This is a great event that helps the north end of the county that are mainly in Hurricane, that most of these guys stay. This time of the year, not a lot, only about 11% of them actually camp, primitive camp. The rest are contributing to the transient room tax throughout this event. And so we feel it's a good event to help get our message, our stewardship message about off-road, especially in that area.
Very good. Yeah, we do see them over there a lot. They are at the hotels. You see all the Jeep rigs and everything, so.
Parking goes down by half while they're there because
Yeah.
you need 2 spaces.
Yeah.
I will say, they don't have to close any roads off to do this event. It is a
No.
great event.
They're not closing like earlier we talked about. They're not closing
Exactly.
any events. The only impactful thing is they're filling the restaurants each evening.
Yeah.
So
Very good. Well, with that,
I'm sure those business owners hate that they're filling their own restaurants,
yeah,
right?
they're
It's a great
upset
thing
about
for
it.
those small businesses.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2024-3295, a resolution approving the expenditures of TRT funding for a event marketing agreement for the Trails Hero event.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is consideration of resolution R-2024-3296, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and Hurricane City for tourism tax funding to assist in the construction of the Hurricane Fourplex Gymnasium. Leslie.
Hello, Commissioners. So this interlocal agreement came about because the Tourism Advisory Board approved funds for this project. So the agreement is how those funds will be dispersed and the facility that will be built. But I'll let Caden, Hurricane City, maybe tell you a little bit more about the facility itself.
Very good. Well, no, the thing of it is we're so honored to have you here in our commission meeting that
It feels a little bit different to be on this
if you
side.
make all the trip over here, we're going to have to give you the mic and let you speak.
Well, I appreciate it. I'd prefer to not say a whole lot. But thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. We're developing that part of our community. There's a great need in Hurricane for gymnasiums. We currently do not possess a city gym, and so we're under construction on a facility for 2 courts, and then we anticipate starting hopefully in a few months on this 4-court facility. So we'll end up having 6 gymnasiums in Hurricane that we'll be able to operate not only for our community, but also to provide that tourism, take advantage of that on that side of the county. So we're excited for it.
Well, I think the great thing about this project is it's a part of a larger investment that the city of Hurricane has been making there with multiple baseball fields, and they're constantly being used by visitors and teams from outside. It's hard to get into Dairy Queen if there's very many baseball games going on. And you've already invested and built, and I believe finished and cut the ribbon on a 2-court gymnasium next door. And this will give you the capacity to host even more events, not only for the citizens, but for people coming and hosting different types of tournaments there. So I think it'll be a great asset for the community. So
Yeah, we've got a great complex that we are under construction on, so should see some great things in the next 2 or 3 years.
And the total cost, the city of Hurricane is investing substantially. We're
anticipating well over $4 million on our side.
Yeah.
Well, we can help.
With that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2024-3296, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and City of Hurricane for tourism tax funding to assist in the construction of the Hurricane Fourplex Gymnasium. That's my motion.
I'll second it, but just with one, in the whereases of the motion. So Devin, maybe, it says the project's approximate total cost is $6 million. The Hurricane is put in 2 and we're putting in 6.
No.
8.
It's reverse. We're putting in 2 and they're putting in.
We're happy with that
Yeah.
language.
Caden is gonna agree to that. No. It's county's putting in 2.
So it says it recommends approving 6 of the county tourism funding for the project.
Yeah, so in the agreement, it's 2 million, it's correct, and one of the recitals is incorrect, the tab recommended 6, it's 2. That's
Okay.
correct, Commissioner.
So with that change, I'll second the motion. Sorry, Caden.
That's all
Caden
right.
was like, hey, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I'll show up here more often.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Thanks, Caden, for coming.
Thank you.
So, our next item is consideration of resolution R-2024-3297, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and St. George City for tourism tax funding to assist in the renovation of the historic Dixie Sun Bowl. Leslie.
Similar, this was a request brought before the Tourism Advisory Board for funding approval, and was approved wholeheartedly for extensive renovations and exciting upgrades to the Dixie Sun Bowl to keep it up going for many, many more years. I don't know if anyone here with St. George City wants to expand on that.
I don't see anybody from...
They had thought about coming. But the plans that we have seen for the Sun Bowl look quite exciting.
They do. I think, let's see, Ryan Sullivan used to be president of the Dixie Lions and is quite familiar with the rodeo, the little rodeo they host down there. I think this will actually ensure that the Dixie Sun Bowl can live to the next generation. So I was quite impressed with.
So the goal and intent is to make it more compatible for rodeos, to keep its historic structure and characteristics, and then expand its ability to host all types of other events as well.
And the amount that the TAB board is recommending is 1.75, right?
1.75, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve resolution R-2024-3297, approving an interlocal agreement between Washington County and St. George City for tourism tax funding to assist in the renovation of the historic Dixie Sun Bowl.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Our next item is consideration of resolution R-2024-3298, a resolution approving a professional service agreement between Washington County and Falgren, Inc. for public relations services, subject to attorney review.
Correct. We are looking to bring on a new public relations agency with the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. The agency that we had been working with is Mail and Yantis, and I believe both you gentlemen have worked with or met them along the line. They have done a great job of establishing Greater Zion as a known brand and commodity across media outlets, but are just looking for that next step up in public relations. So we went to RFP, had 17 proposals come in from agencies across the nation. Pretty flattering that they're all willing and wanting to work with us. And we got buy-in from the TAB board members, as well as all of our staff, reviewing those proposals, inviting 5 finalists in, and have determined that Falgren is our go-to, our next step in PR. So this contract would start May 1. The services in scope are similar to what we've had in the past, covering everything from crisis communication where needed, hopefully not needed, to just average everyday media relations, influencer campaigns, all of those kind of things. We're looking to start the contract on May 1 and continue that for a year, a total dollar amount of $300,000, which is in par with our budget. And what else do you need to know?
Very good. And you guys went through an entire interview process as well. Where's their home office at?
They're out of Columbus, Ohio. They have an office in Idaho as well. But we vetted all of that as well. They're willing to travel, have in-person meetings, and as you well know too, a lot of our business can be conducted via emails and via Zoom meetings and all of that too. So I feel pretty confident in that. Our previous one was in Denver too, so I feel pretty good about
Columbus versus Denver. Okay.
Uh-huh.
They haven't legalized marijuana in Ohio, I think.
I honestly do not know.
Oh, come on, Sarah.
Sorry, I don't keep track of that.
Are they communist?
My lawyer's over here going, don't make that a part of the contract.
That's fair.
I would move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3298, subject to attorney review.
Well, maybe I could put this in. They
No, not part of the
have a
motion.
drug test.
Not part of the motion.
It's too late.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you, Jim.
sir. Our next item is consideration of Resolution R-2024-3299, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Landmark Testing and Engineering for engineering investigation and testing services for the Boulevard Building remodel. Devin, I have you down as to speak to this.
Yes, Commissioners, this is on the Boulevard Building project for the modernization and seismic upgrades there. The project architect thought that additional geotechnical investigation would be helpful there, just to kind of get a better read of what soils they have to work with there. So this contract with Landmark Testing and Engineering is to do some boring and give us a report on what the soils look like under the building.
Very good. Landmark's a very good, reputable company. With that, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2024-3299, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Landmark Testing and Engineering for engineering investigation and testing services for the Boulevard Building.
I'll second the motion.
And we have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. We've now completed our agenda, and we are off to the county fair. For anybody who is interested, this is rebroadcast daily on TDS cable channel 22 and 108 at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. They're also available on demand on YouTube Community Educational Channel. And with that, we stand adjourned.
Commissioners?
Okay.
Well, we are adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Now we're just not adjourned again.
We are not going to the county fair yet. We have one
Mike's
more
here.
item. And
Mike is keeping us from the county fair.
Yes, Mike is ruining the county fair for us by making us meet. And we are now starting the meeting of the governing authority of Ash Creek Special Service District of Washington County, St. George, Utah. And that is, we are now meeting under those items.